Dear friends, it is wonderful to be able to share with you in this way again today. It's even more special because we can celebrate with Kingsley Park their 136th anniversary as a worshipping community in our circuit family of churches. In a Methodist way of life, we commit ourselves to worship. And in this week, we will concentrate on the second commitment. We will worship with others regularly. Firstly, friends, as a church we believe that worship has a twofold intention. First, adoration and praise, and second, our transformation by the grace and power of God. We therefore come to worship for transformation through God's grace. Now, I know that we all go through times of emptiness and dryness when life feels difficult and without joy. We all know what it feels like to be hurt, rejected, or exhausted by life's demands. And if anyone knew what it was like to be worn out by life and rejected by neighbors, it was the Samaritan woman in today's reading. We don't know the reasons for her sexual history. There are many possible reasons for her marital history other than her moral laxity. Perhaps the woman, like Tamar in Genesis 38, is trapped in the custom of levirate marriage, and the last male in the family has refused to marry her. It always fascinates me that the reasons for her marital history intrigue commentators and preachers, but that it doesn't concern Jesus at all. So yes, we don't know the reasons for her sexual history, but we can be sure, since she came to the well at the one time when no one else was supposed to be there, that she did not have a good relationship with her neighbors. With all of this rejection and pain, the encounter with Jesus must have felt quite threatening at first. But of course this soon changed. We all long for refreshment, for living water to flood our souls and quench our thirst for vibrant, meaningful life. Jesus promised the woman living water, a life-giving presence within her that would enable her to be healed and restored. And friends, she received it as they spoke. God's Spirit lives within us and will empower and inspire us if we open our hearts and lives to the Spirit's influence. Why do you come to worship, my friend? How has worshipping regularly strengthened your own faith? Why does regularity of worship matter to you? But friends, we are also called to be carriers of God's living water to those around us. When we learn to draw on the Spirit's strength, we grow increasingly able to rise above those things that drain us and empty us out. And then, my friends, we can become inspiring and empowering influence to others. It didn't take long before she had lost her fear and returned to her village to bring the neighbors whom she had previously avoided to meet Jesus. We can only imagine what a difference this must have made to her life from that moment on. But we know that the entire village came to faith in Jesus. This may have been the preparation for the Samaritan revival that is mentioned in the book of Acts. Secondly, my friends, we commit ourselves to worshipping with others. This shared nature of worship reminds us that the followers of Jesus are called to be a community of believers, a faithful people, and to make disciples of all nations, which we read about in Matthew 28:19 and 1 Peter chapter 2 verses 9 to 10. The Samaritan and Jewish conflict so dominated this woman's perspective that her words to Jesus in verse 20 contain no reference to who is being worshipped. True worship, my friends, Jesus says, is no longer defined by place, but as worship in spirit and in truth, in verses 23 to 24. Worship of God in spirit and truth does not point to an internal spiritualized worship, but to a form of worship that reflects and is shaped by the character of God as revealed in Jesus' way of unconditional love, grace, inclusion, and justice. Around us, my friends, in our places of worship and in our daily living, are others who also need the living water. And we have a responsibility to share it with them, irrespective of who they are. This doesn't mean that we must preach at them. Rather, it means that we can simply accept and love them as Jesus did with this woman, and through our welcome, bring healing and refreshment to their hearts. Archbishop Rowan Williams, in Being Christian, writing about Holy Communion, reminds us that we are there because God invites us. And we should remember, my friends, that this obliges us to see the person next to us as wanted by God. God desires that person's company as well as our own. And so I want to leave you with these questions today. Did the COVID-19 pandemic make you reappraise your own commitment to community, what it means to belong? How diverse is the community with whom you worship? How far do your own traditions and prejudices affect your form of worship? And friends, what can we do to let our worship reflect something of God's character of love and grace and inclusion? Amen.